What's up people, welcome to Rauta's workout videos. Because I'm a saint, I'm gonna talk about workout while drinking beer, because why the hell not? Actually had a pretty good workout day today, so this is a perfect mood to talk about some workout failures. Or actually not having the balls to do it. Because this wouldn't make much of a sense without an example. I'm just gonna include one right here. Squat day about a week ago, 220 kilos, and attempt to do more than one, which seems to fail. Why? Well, let's discuss that a little bit. Now that you've seen that example, you might figure what went wrong. Now basically, technically speaking, nothing really did. But sometimes when you're working out, especially with heavier weights, to be honest, I don't know how much this applies to bodybuilding and general fitness, maybe CrossFit and all that stuff, but I kind of feel that this is something that doesn't matter. I mean, doesn't really matter what kind of workout you're doing. Sometimes you just don't have what it takes to do that last lift, maybe the last repetition, or maybe you're just going for one and you're like, man, this is how it goes. For example, there with my squat video, the very short clip, I was aiming to do more than one. I didn't dare about reps like 3, not to mention more, but to be honest, I was thinking about I could do 2. That is prior to the actual attempt. Now, how it looks on the video, it doesn't really look that hard. I mean, it totally looks like I could have done a couple, maybe that 3. But when you actually have that, actually have that weight, you know, that was 220 kilos, and you are there going down and you feel like I might not be coming up. I mean, you have these kind of you don't really see them, but they're right here. Just give the idea. Sorry, you know, these kind of support bars there to, I mean, kind of back you up to make sure that you don't have to go all the way down. They are there to kind of comfort you, and in case things go full bar, they are there to save your ass, save your body from injuries, or most likely prevent the hardest of them. But when you are going down with such heavy weight, I mean, obviously this is very much depending on the person itself. For some people, 220 kilos is just lightweight, and for some of us it's a lot of weight. Some are probably having the issues with half of this weight. Doesn't really matter. What matters is that how much you can do. I mean, it's wanting to do deadlifts up to your failure. I wanted to include actually one of those videos, but I really couldn't find it. Maybe I deleted or whatever. But I had this video where I was going for like 6 reps, but the repetition number 6 didn't go all the way. I mean, it was like kind of a half rep, but after the 5th one, I basically felt like I had that gas in me, I could do it. So it started pulling, but it didn't come all the way up. So it was kind of like half rep, that is, I did it to failure, which is not exactly something you go for. Now, but with deadlift, the weight is all the way down. You don't really need to worry about, you know, crashing down on you in case you just fail. Like for instance, when you do overhead press, you know, when the bar is right here, and you go like, it's not gonna do it. You still kind of stuck it right here, and then you can just put it on the stoppers, or maybe you can just drop it down. That's not that bad. But when you're benching, and you're basically having the bar right there, and then you're like, oh, it's not gonna come. And in case you don't have these supporting beams or whatever they're called, and you don't have a spotter like I had today, luckily I could go all the way down as far as I felt strong enough to do it. I mean, it's there to spot you and like, okay, I got it, I'm gonna save your ass. With squat, it gets even nastier, even with spotters, because especially when you're going heavier weights, you basically need 2 or 3 spotters, one on each end of the bar and one behind you. And as you can see this video, because it was done quite late in the night, around maybe 10:30 in the evening, that was basically me and only maybe one person around the gym. And at the gym where I was training, I don't think there are people who have done squat spotting. That is not exactly very common. Now the thing here is, when you kind of let that fear seep into your brain and take it control of you. I mean, it's kind of a survival thing, really. You don't want to be crushed down, and even if you have those support beams to save your day, you still figure out like, I don't want to go down there because I have this fear of failure. And when you're close to your 1 rep max, like I was with this 220 kilos, because my 1 rep max is like 332. Now, there's a huge gap between 1 rep and 2 reps because it's so close to 1 rep max. I mean, if it was like 200 kilos, I know that between a good day and a bad day, the reps can go like, I don't know, from 3 to 6 maybe. Like this week, I was supposed to do 5, but I was at 4 like, no, I'm not gonna do it. So I didn't get my reps what I was looking for, but at least it's not like I have to fear after 1 rep that, hey, I'm not coming up, or that's how I feel about it. But at that 20 kilos and you're in a very, very different spot, talking about percentage, it's a different game whether you operate around, say, 90% than when you operate at like 97% of your 1 rep max. And that puts you in a very, very different mindset also. The fear of failure, because you know when you can go for like 2 or 3, but when it's about 1 or 2, well, it gets a little bit complicated. So every now and then you kind of don't have the balls it takes. Maybe it's a fear of injury, maybe it's a fear of shame, but it's fear nonetheless. And sometimes it's just a smart move not to do that, even if it makes you feel a little bit uncomfortable later on. Because after all, when you're training with heavy weights, you're kind of accustomed to have those, say, uncomfortable moments. Not everything happens in the comfort zone. Now, sometimes I feel like, why the hell we're doing this kind of stuff? But then you really kind of figure out that the only way to progress is to step out of your comfort zone. And there is nothing wrong, basically, failing every now and then, because that's actually a lesson learned. But obviously, you're not supposed to do it too often, because it's not good for your nervous system and it's not good for your head. Like if you fail way too often, you might get this too strong a fear that you will always fail, where you should actually basically never fail. You should go for the successful lifts and all that stuff. Now, every now and then you might have these moments like I had with that squat bar, that you're between, am I gonna survive it or am I gonna not? And nobody, I guess, can really answer for you, for your personal feelings. I mean, of course, if you have a coach, then you already probably know a lot more than me. And you probably have this coach telling you this, like, okay, you can do it, or don't go there, you cannot do that. There is somebody to watch over your shoulder, to kind of watch out for you, like, hey, I know how you feel, I can see it. But when you take a look at your video and you feel like, hey, this looks goddamn easy, why I didn't do more reps than that? It's so easy to explain it to you, like, afterwards. It's this hindsight kind of a thing. Like, hey, I should have and I could have done that, but back then you didn't. Maybe because you had that fear. Maybe because you had some kind of a deeper lizard brain understanding that, hey, today is not the day. You're gonna just call it a quits and you're gonna live to fight another day. And there is nothing shameful about it. You just need to embrace it and you need to understand it. Sometimes you fail because lack of courage. Sometimes you don't have what it takes to win this particular battle. Now, how do I think about now? Like it's week past with this 220 kilos. Doesn't even matter to me. I wouldn't even remember it unless I was doing this particular video. The point here is embrace yourself and prepare for failure. But don't get too comfortable with failing because you don't want that make that failure part to you be your friend. It needs to be this enemy you're trying to win. And that's about it. Now, if you have questions or comments or suggestions, just leave them on the comments box below and I'll get back to you. Meanwhile, work hard, stay healthy, stay metal.